What's good, Commanders fans? I guess, well, nothing much is good. I know a lot of people are not happy about this pick, myself included. I think he's a good player, but once again, it's a reach. And we just got news. This is a guy, once again, who tells the media that he was surprised to be picked this high. That is telling. And it's a concern, man. This is Ron Rivera's draft. This is him, Martin Mayhew, Marty Herney, their brain trust. We know Ron Rivera's at the top of the totem pole. He is the he's when they come through a decision, he's head honcho. He's the GM, to be honest. You know, Martin Mayhew, they have the title. Marty, they have the title, or whatever. But last word comes from Ron Rivera, and this is what Ron Rivera wanted to do. Deron Payne, they're not going to extend him. We got the news from Ben Standig a couple days ago. Of course, they released Matt Ioannidis. They released Tim Settle, so they had no depth. They brought in F.A. Obata, who's okay. He's solid. But using a second round pick on a depth pick is certainly questionable. And a guy who his agent said that he was projected to be a third or fourth round pick when you could have got Brisker or I don't know what's going on with Kobe Dean. I don't know. I know he was weightlifting and he tore a muscle or something like that. That's what I heard. And he had like a soft tissue injury or something. I could be. I know he had some injury that people are concerned about. I don't know the specifics about it, but I mean, Trey McBride, the tight end, you need tight end depth too. There was a lot of guys on the board that they definitely could have gotten, other than this guy who they probably could have gotten in the fourth or third round. And like I said, I like the Jahan Dotson as pick as a player. I was fine with the Jahan Dotson pick. I give that a B plus. I give this one a C, to be honest with you. I think he's a good player, but just with the value and the guys that you could have gotten, it's questionable. It's questionable. Now I know the concerns about him. He's a good run stopper, a good run stuffer. Another Alabama defensive tackle. We draft another Alabama D lineman. We're just infatuated with Alabama defensive lineman. It is what it is. And they worked out. They're all good players. Jerome Payne's a good player. John Allen's a good player. They're all good players. Now Mathis, he had 9.5 sacks. This is a nugget from Pete Haley. So when the sacks come and when the sacks happen, that definitely gives context. The foot is off the gas. You're blowing people out. And so this is what Ron Rivera said during the presser from Pete Haley. He says, Ron Rivera wants to see a guy that gets 14 sacks and 10 of them happening during the process of the game. Then the other 4 came when they were killing people. So he had 1 sack versus Miami. Alabama was beating them up 41-13. Then they had a sack versus Mercer. Then he had a sack versus Mercer where they were up 28-0. Then he had a sack versus Florida where they're up 21-9. Then versus Ole Miss, they were up 21-0. Versus Tennessee, they were up 21-14. Versus LSU, they were down 7-0. 1.5 sacks versus Auburn, where they were all down. They were down by 7 points, 7-0. So those are legitimate sacks, in my opinion. I'm not going to take anything away from his sacks, but you guys get the context and get the point. 1 sack versus Cincinnati, probably in that Final Four game where they were up 27-6. And then 1 sack versus Georgia where they were up 31-17. So I'm not going to take anything away from his sacks, but they do contradict what Ron Rivera was saying, that they were in the process of the game. When you were basically blowing a team out, that's when he got the sack. And I'm not going to take anything away from it, but it is telling, when were the sacks? Were they on third downs? Was it on 3rd and 5? Were they big sacks that they really needed at that time? I'm not going to say they didn't need those sacks, but it just gives some context there. Now, positives about this guy, like I said, I think he's a good player. I haven't watched him much, but I think he's a good player. He's a character guy. He was the captain of that Alabama team. So I know Ron Rivera loved that. I know when he heard that, he just loved it, that he's a good guy. He's a character guy. He's a great locker room guy, and he related to the players as well. So I know he loved that. But the things he has to prove on is pass rushing. Very good run stopper. Just read his bio here a little bit. 6'4", 312 pounds. Big fella. Out of Alabama, 24 years old. You look at his draft report from NFL.com. Named a permanent team captain for the 2021 season. Outstanding blend of girth and length. Pause on that one. Instant ground to pads, hand quickness off the snap. Will punch and separate with 2 hands or 1. Possesses 3 position versatility and odd and even fronts. Dense protection with bull rush or edge attack. I did see that in some of his highlights. That bull rush did work a couple times. Maintains sack viability as a middle rusher. Weaknesses: limited range away from home base. Below average capturing the spot against reach block. Unable to keep pace with wide flowing run game. Needs a more consistent response to down blocks. Premature shed. Gives runners a shot to alter their attack. Now, he had 9.5 sacks, which, like I said, is solid, but the context of when the sacks did happen definitely does mean something. He led the FBS with defensive tackles. with sacks. So, and that is legit. I give him credit for that. I do. I give him credit for that too. I really do. Phidarian Mathis is his name. I just want to look at some more stats here. But he's a player that got better as he went along. Looking at his stats here. Yeah, he's a guy that got better as he went along. And, Ron Rivera with his draft, I mean, he made a move to get Carson Wentz where you had to release guys and cut guys. And he's making moves. He made this move to get depth, to recoup what you lost in Matt Ioannidis and also Tim Settle, those guys leaving. And, he just made that pay to recoup that. So, like I said, I think the guy's a good player. I'm not saying he's a bad player or anything like that. I just feel like, you could have got a Jaquan Brisker with the next pick. So, and it's just crazy because Olave was the pick with the Saints. So it's kind of like the picks that the guys that we pass up on, they're instantly picked next. So yeah, his in 2020 he had 1.5 sacks. Then he had 9 sacks his senior year in 2021. Then he had 5 tackles for loss in 2020, and then 10.5 tackles for loss in 2021. So he got better each year. Each year he got better. So that is encouraging. He had a forced fumble in 2021. He had a forced fumble in 2020 as well. So those are the Nuggets. Like I said, another guy that's surprised. We'll see what happens in the 3rd round. We'll see. We'll see what happens, guys. All right, guys. Hail to Commanders. Peace.